I don't know. I don't know why I keep saying that. This is the Urban Therapy with Sun show. The Daily Go Get show was last night. We are in this realm, this space. We are today. That's what we are. We are today. How y'all feeling, man? What's good? Saturday afternoon. Y'all know how we do on a Saturday afternoon. Good to see everybody. Let me give y'all a shout out initially before we do anything. Stacy White, what's going on? How you feeling? My holding it down for the D all day, every day. And T Carry, right, morning, noon, and night. It's always great to have my peoples going directly into your site. And grown woman, don't try me. Grown woman, don't try me. What's going on? How you feeling? Always good to see you. Always. All right, so today on the Urban Therapy with Sun show, we are talking about holding on to that last parent. Holding on to that last parent. Y'all know what I'm talking about when I say holding on to that last parent. When and if you have lost a parent, you know what? First of all, let me start off by saying shout out, condolences, and comfort to any and everybody who has lost a parent or who has lost both parents. But today we're going to talk about how it feels to lose one parent and still have one parent alive. Now, that parent that's still alive may be on one leg, literally and figuratively, or they may have serious health problems. They may be up there in age, or maybe they have abused their body all of their lives. You know how it goes. Some of us have parents who have abused drugs, abused alcohol, abused cigarettes, didn't eat the right things, didn't work out, didn't do what they were supposed to do, maybe ate everything that they wanted to, and maybe everything that was on the menu was what they wanted to eat, and so they were overweight and all that kind of stuff. And when you're dealing with a parent, and it's your last parent, and they have serious health issues or whatever, and here you are trying hard, tooth and nail, fighting tooth and nail to try to keep them alive, try to make them comfortable, try to get them to the point where they will help themselves. It can be very, very taxing on your mental state and on your emotional state. And you know, the crazy thing about trying to take care of a parent that's aging or that's sick or that's hurt or that's the last person that you have is that it doesn't take away your memory of how you may have grown up and how they may have affected how you grew up. You understand what I mean? It's tough because just like with the poll question, if y'all haven't answered the poll question, please hit up the poll question because it's important. You know, we're asking, you know, would you take care of your last living parent, your remaining parent, if they never took care of you growing up? So a scenario that we're very familiar with in the Black community, unfortunately, is growing up with a father that we didn't know or didn't raise us or didn't participate or contribute the way that they should have. So let's say you're dealing with a dad, like your mom passed, and maybe she was your rock, and maybe she was your heart, and maybe she was your love, and maybe she was your everything. And you know how it is dealing with the pain of losing your mom. You know how that go. Well, on top of the inner turmoil that you may be going through from losing your mom, you might be looking at your dad like, I don't really even know this man. Or he never took care of me. He never came around. He never did anything for me. He doesn't even really know me. But you might also feel that sense of duty, that sense of family that might make you say, well, but he's all I had. And while he's still alive, while he's still here on this earth, I'm going to try to make the situation between me and him as good as possible. So you might be helping him out in whatever ways he needs to be helped out. I've seen plenty of people, you know, helping their fathers in the wheelchair, getting them to their doctor's appointments, making sure that they take their medicine, basically being a whole nurse to their father. And I say father because that's normally the way that it goes in our community, but it's not the only way that it goes. I've known people who had mothers that were very, very abusive to them, and they held it down for them. So, when you're trying to keep a parent alive, you're doing it from the heart, but you're also doing it from the state of your own mortality. We can't forget that. We can't discount that. When your parent dies, you be thinking about what age you're going to die. And that's especially if your parent dies at a young age. Let's say you were young when your parent died, 10 years old, younger than that. And your parent or your parents died when you were, when they were like in their 30s, early 40s or whatever. You know what I mean? That's early. That's not a long life. You get to thinking like, well, dang, if my mom got sick at this age or my dad got sick at this age and they were only in their 30s or whatever, how long am I going to be here? How long will I make it? Will I get to be 40? Will I live into any ripe old age? It can be a point of contention, and it can consume a lot of your mental energy. Because the cycle of life just doesn't do what we want it to do. It doesn't act the way that we want it to act. It doesn't form and go ahead the way that we wish that it would. Blood fart. Oh, shit. It's been a while, blood fart. What's good? How you feeling? Good to see you. Queen Monica, all up in the house. What up, Queen Monica? How you feeling? He says, yes, most people I know find it hard to see themselves past their parent or caregiver's death age. You're going to think about your own mortality. Sure, you think about your own mortality when your friends pass. Because I'm at that age and been at that age where we're losing friends. We're losing people. Our friends are getting... Look, I didn't grow up... I'm not a gangster. I didn't lose a whole lot of people to gun violence and gang violence and stuff like that, but I did lose some. I've lost some. I've lost a lot. But I wasn't in that life. But, losing my best friend last year, losing my good friend in 2017, and he was only 48 years old, had just turned 48 years old. You think about this kind of shit like, the whole birds of a feather flock together thing comes along. Like, maybe, I don't know, maybe y'all don't think like this, but I know I do. Like, maybe my generation is taking a hit right now. Because when you see your peers get sick and die, you be like, hold on. We ain't supposed to get sick and die. That's not supposed to happen. But getting back to the whole parent thing, you start thinking about your mortality. You're going to think about your mortality. Because even amongst your siblings, if you lose a sibling, your brother died or your sister died, or maybe nobody died, you be wondering, well, who's gonna take the first hit? Will it be the oldest? Because it ain't always the oldest. It ain't always the oldest that get it. But it'll make you wonder, is it going to be the oldest? Is it going to be the middle? Is it going, or if you come from a big family, is it going to be one of those in the middle? Is it going to be the youngest? Hey, the stereotype of the youngest child. I'm sorry. The stereotype of the youngest child. The youngest is supposed to be the wildest and most unorthodox and the most undisciplined. And sometimes the youngest is the most disciplined and really the leader. You know how they say that the youngest should have been born as the oldest and the oldest should have been born as the youngest. Well, sometimes yes, and sometimes no. But nonetheless, there's so many things that might get you on the track of thinking about your own death date. We know what our birth date is going to be, or what our birth date is, but we don't know what our death date is going to be. So we spend a lot of our time preparing for that, especially when we lose a parent, because we have to start thinking about that seriously. And the other thing that we have to start thinking about for real, is our legacy that we leave behind in our children. How are they going to handle it? You know, especially if your children aren't adults yet. You know, that shit can keep you up late at night. You know, you have a health scare, a really bad health scare somewhere around, you know, in your 20s or your 30s. You thinking like, who's going to take care of my babies? Who's going to make sure that they get to school? Who's going to make sure that they feel like school is important? Who's going to make sure that they get fed? Who's going to make sure that they know the things that they need to know? Who's going to protect them? Who's going to make sure that nobody hurts them? Who's going to make sure that nobody influences them the wrong way? Who's going to make sure that my baby girl doesn't become loose and just listen to any boy that comes along that wants to get between her legs? Who's going to do that? Who's going to make sure that my young boy, who's going to make sure that my young prince, my young king to be, doesn't play himself out there? Who's going to make sure that he doesn't become tied up in the legal system and all of that? Because you know that's what your purpose is, to guide them, to lead them, to make sure that they're all right. So that's what we're talking about today on the Urban Therapy with Sun show. So hopefully I've warmed y'all up enough. What up, Manifest Reality? What's good? Manifest, you know, I came to your live yesterday. You was on live yesterday. I came to your live. I'm not really sure what you were doing. I couldn't figure it out, and I couldn't stay but so long. But yeah, I came and checked you. I don't know if you saw me. He said, Manifest says, my siblings and I are trading off months at a time with balancing to visit the father. He said, I was so busy yesterday. That's what's up. All right, so Urban Therapy with Sun 752, and this is the Urban Therapy with Sun show. We do this every single Saturday from 1:30 p.m. till around 2:30-ish. And the reason that we say 2:30-ish is because sometimes it gets so heated that we just have to do a little OT on a Saturday. And it is Saturday. This is the show where adults come out and play with other adults. We laugh, we cry, we argue, fuss, and fight, go back and forth with each other, bust it up all crazy. We take an introspective look into our own personality to see the way that the universe projects us into this thing called the world and try to figure out this thing called life. I am your host, Sun 752, aka Omar with the and if you can't say Omar with the well, then you just say Omar with the R. This is the Urban Therapy with Sun show. I'm feeling like a real man should, and I hope y'all feeling like real men and women should too. And we are talking about holding on to your last parent. Holding on to your last parent, baby. What do you know? What do you know about trying to keep mommy alive? Hold on. I gotta take off my shit. What do you know about trying to keep mommy alive? What do you know about making sure daddy survive? What do you know about thinking about your own dying day? What do you know about losing friends feeling some kind of way? What do you know about the world around you and how it affects? What do you know about people coming all at your neck? What do you know about getting a bad medical report? What do you know about thinking that your life be cut short? What do you know about staying in the crib because you're scared? What do you know about not wanting to die because you ain't prepared? What do you know about getting your spirituality? You ain't trying to go up, down, sound up, you see? So that's how it be, man. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Let's have this conversation, y'all. Let's have this conversation. No, I'm not going to stand for the whole show. No. This is the Urban Therapy with Sun show. We're talking about holding on to that last parent. We're talking about holding on to that last parent, y'all. What you know? What do you know about holding on to that last parent? Oh, man, dealing with an elderly parent with mad health problems. Shit is real out here. Shit is real out here, you know what I'm saying? You know, damn, hold on, y'all. Let me tell it. I was all set up and ready to go. I'm like, man, I ain't ready for shit. I ain't got my brand up. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do better. I promise you I'm gonna do better. I promise you I'm gonna do better. Nothing can stop me from doing better. I will. Dimples D's, what's good? How you feeling? Good to see me some you. All right. Oh shit, Monica Davis says, you almost start developing those same ailments. Oh my God, you ain't never done lied. He died of cancer, I'ma die of cancer too. That shit is serious shit. You know what I mean? Stressing yourself to the point where you start mimicking the symptoms of somebody else that didn't make it. And sometimes we have to remind ourselves that when it's our time, it's our time. There's nothing we can do about it. But the thing is, that doesn't make us feel any better. That's the problem with that. It doesn't make us feel any better because we still have to do this life day by day. Day by day. All right. What y'all talking about? Oh yeah, definitely. Hit the like button, y'all. Please hit the like button, share the show, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, this is the Urban Therapy with Sun Show. I'm your host, Sun752, and we are talking about holding on to that last parent, holding on to your last remaining living parent. What do you know about it? What you know? Manifest says, I was with football, student government, and preparing for carnival today. Oh, okay. Yeah, you are busy. You busy. You should be, you should, I should introduce you to Queen Monica Davis. Yeah. Yeah. If you know, you know. All right. They say, Mom, you have a lot going on. It sounds like you do. Bloodfar says, you read my mind. Need more bongo. That's what's up. That's what's up, man. All right. Man. All right. Grown woman says, everyone has to face their own mortality at some point. You do. You really do. But it's harder every time you have to face it. And many of us may spend our whole lives trying not to face that shit because it really is the unknown. You know what I mean? Regardless of what kind of believer you are, you know, it's unknown. We're not going to really find out till we get there. But in the meantime, we may be trying to prevent somebody else from getting there before their time. I don't know. You know. Bloodforce says most people will never live until they face mortality and learn to value each day. I hear you on that. My man Johnny West was good, and Carla is in the house. How you feeling, man? Johnny West says, I was thinking today, I've seen a lot of squirrels. Squirrels are everywhere, but I've never seen two squirrels having sex. Yeah, they keep that on the low. I think I've heard them in my roof doing it, though. And trust me, from the sound of things, their sexual movements are as fast as... It's just like when they running from a cat. You ever see a squirrel run from a cat? Run up a light. What's the wooden pole called? That's not a light pole. What's that? Electric pole? What is that? Because it's where the electric lines are, right? I think they be fucking the same way. I mean, I heard them. You know what I'm saying? I heard them. Them goddamn raccoons too. All right. TK Wright says, I know all too well about this subject. God bless you. God bless you. Manifest says, I still have both watching many go through it. I have patience for and always gave assistance. Oh yeah, you're welcome. Shoot, if that's the first time I ever logged on and I saw you. I didn't even know you did. I didn't know you went live. I didn't know. I didn't know. I was like, let me hold on. Let me check this out. I think I heard your voice, but I can't be sure because I couldn't see you on camera. All right. TK Wright said, my heart aches to have my poppy and mommy. Oh, you mean not to have my poppy and mommy here with me? Manifest says, my son had the nerve to injure himself. So I have been the slave runner. Okay, all right. Okay. Monica says, I'm on my way out for the day soon. Busy bee. Zzz, 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 zzz. Okay. Hold on. Okay. All right, we good. All right. Utility pole. Is that what it's called? A utility pole? All right. You know, it has a light on it. It's wooden. And it has electrical lines up at the top. Yeah. So if it was a regular light pole, you know, the squirrel wouldn't be able to run up the joint because you ain't got nothing to scratch onto. So I'm talking about the wooden one. Manifest reality. Yeah, right. My dear, may Allah continue to hold you. Word. Squirrel smashing. That's too funny. Hey, I didn't see it, but I swear I heard it. You know, I mean, I'm an ear witness. Manifest says, so many people have not seen me that they make up negative things about me. I mean, you know how that go. What's going on, Time? Thanks for coming through, my peoples. All right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, when you disagree with people online and they can't see you. Yeah. The storm is going to come. All right, holding on to your last parent, man. What do y'all know about that? Because it's such an emotional response to mortality. Motherfucker. When I tell you I tried to protect this goddamn shirt. When I tell you that I tried to protect this motherfucking shirt and I knew it wasn't going to work. I didn't put this bitch on until I turned the camera on, I swear. But I knew it. I fucking knew it. Damn it. Oh, fuck. Ah. And the problem is that this shit got turmeric in it. So, you know, them curry stains ain't coming out easily. They ain't coming out. You know what I'm saying? They gonna be here for a while.
You have a call from
Urban Therapy was sent. Welcome to the Disarray Show and the Spill Show, the Clumsy Show, the can't wear white to save his fucking life, even though this shirt ain't white show. Welcome. What's on your mind this afternoon?
That shirt said, give me a sip too.
I just pulled this motherfucker out the bag. I was like, yo, my iron this jaw. I ain't putting this shit on. I ain't taking no chances. I'm not eating. I'm not drinking. I'm not doing nothing.
That shirt said, give me a little bit. Let me
Fuck.
taste it.
I can't do it. Like I can't ever get away with nothing. Pissed. Manifest reality says that orange stain isn't coming out. Oh, it's coming the fuck out. I'ma shout it out.
Get that bad boy off now and start soaking it. I'm just saying.
No, it ain't that deep. You know what I mean? The good thing about it is the good thing about it is that the shirt is green. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like I spilled something red on it, and it's not like I'll be all right. I does this. I does this.
All right.
And this will.
You used to it. We've seen you spill a couple of times, so we know you got it.
Yeah, man. Sippy cup ain't sipping, you know what I mean? He like, I don't care if you sip straight. We gonna get your ass today. We got you.
What's up, everybody? Good afternoon. Happy Saturday.
No doubt. So you know what we talking about this afternoon?
I think so. I caught a piece of it, and then I saw the title, so I hope so.
Okay. So we're talking about holding on to your last parent. So we're talking about when one of your parents have passed and you're trying hard to keep your other parent who is still alive. So we're talking about, we're talking about putting your differences to the side. You know what I mean? All your childhood trauma that they may have contributed to, putting that to the side in order to try to, try not to be an orphan. You're trying not to go the orphan route, but and we're talking about the challenges of that shit because it's real. And I mean, this is a personal show for me because I'm going through that shit. Losing my dad, in 2021, and me and my dad was super close, and me and my mom have always been super close. So I'm like, I don't mind telling nobody, like, yo, whatever I got to do to keep her around, I'm going to do that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least the good part about it is she ain't trying to go nowhere. 84 years old. We are fully expecting her to make it to 85 and better, but it's not always like that. Sometimes, you know how when sick people or older people, when they start saying, I'm tired, be like, no, tired. No, not tired. You mean you need to lay down? You want to take a nap? That you know what they talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like they sick of trying anymore. They don't want to be in this pain anymore. They, it's they letting you know. They giving you that warning shot. Like this is about to be a wrap. And you like, no, nah, we ain't done. We ain't done. It's like trying to leave a dice game. You shoot dice on the street. You don't just get to go in there, win some money, and walk away. Like, nah, gotta give me a chance to win my money back. So, yeah, it's a serious situation. It's a serious situation, and it's an emotional situation that can take a lot out of you. It can take a lot out of you, especially if it's a situation where the parent that's still alive wasn't the parent that took care of you. They weren't your favorite parent. They might have been the parent that didn't pay no child support. They might have been the parent that didn't help you out when you needed it. They might have been the parent that never came to your baseball games, your dance recitals, your plays, your graduations, your special moments, your sweet 16s, your when your child was born, all kinds of shit. You know what I mean? And you're trying to make amends. You're trying to put all of that to the side. And when you really think about it, you're doing that selfishly. Because you're not really trying to keep them alive for their sake. You're kind of trying to keep them alive for your own sake. You know, but I can't say that you're wrong for it. I can't and I won't say that you're wrong for it. It's just one of those things that we have to do. One of the good things about being a human being is that we can consciously make an effort to keep somebody else alive and do it. We can make that happen. Animals out in the wild can't do that. They can't do that. If they get seriously hurt to where they can't hunt or run, there's nothing anybody can do. There ain't no animal hospital out there in the wild where predators won't come and eat them. It ain't like that. So that when they get injured beyond a considerable time to heal, they know that they gotta go. But as human beings, we can nurse ourselves back to health. We can get therapy. We can get treatments, medicine, and shit like that. So we take advantage of that. But the emotional toll that it takes on us is different from person to person, and it can be some shit. So yeah, if your remaining parent was the one that was never supportive of you, but here you are trying to keep them here. Let me get you comfortable. Let me make a few calls. I know some people. We can get you a better wheelchair. We can get you one of those mobile chairs. We can get you a hover round or something like that. You know, I'll come over. I'll wash you. I'll change you. I'll make sure you get to your appointments. I'll put you on my insurance. I'll do whatever I got to do. It can be very emotionally taxing on a person. Very, very, very. Plus, you may feel like you have to protect them from other family members or whatever. Yeah, man, listen, man. Because somebody gonna hear me on today's show. When you have a parent, let's say a dad. Now, and don't get me wrong, fellas. I'm not coming at y'all neck, but we have to address some things that we know are true and we know are real, and it's just something we gotta deal with. When your dad had a bunch of other kids, or maybe not a bunch of other kids, but he had some kids outside of him and your mom's involvement. Well, your siblings' parents your siblings' mom might still be alive, or not, but yours is gone. Now you taking care of your dad, you doing whatever you can for your dad or whatever. But in the back of your mind, you like, wait a minute, why the fuck they ain't helping? He ain't even take you. He wasn't even there for me, but he was there for them. So let me get this straight. I'm here making sure he get to his appointments. I'm here making sure that he take his medicine. I'm here making sure that he has something to eat. I'm here making sure that, he got a hospital bed in here. I'm here making sure that he's comfortable. I'm here running to the store for him or whatever. I'm here I'm even changing the channel with the remote or whatever. I'm here, maybe he's diabetic and shit, lost a leg, a limb, blind, whatever. You here holding it down for him, and you mean to tell me never is it gonna pop into your mind like the son or daughter that he loves so much? Where the fuck are they? I guess since he ain't coming through with the money no more, whatever. Now they ain't nowhere to be found. They got too much to do. Like you don't have a career. Like you don't have a family of your own. Like you don't have kids. Like you don't have a spouse. Like you don't have a significant other. Like you don't have a life. Meanwhile, you putting your life on hold in order to hold down the parent that didn't do that for you. And wondering how come the kids that he did do for ain't doing for him. They ain't helping out. So, Kim, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, all right. Well, that's all I had to say about that. You know what I mean? That's all I had
Yeah, I
to
think
say.
I misunderstood the show because I don't fall into any of those categories. I don't know how to respond.
Okay.
But so of course I have two parents left, but really only one is my blood parent. The other is my sibling's parent, but she's my mom. Um, so, let me walk back on something you said when you were talking about when loved ones say they're tired. That's when I came in and really started listening. And I just wanted to respond to that. You know, when we hear that, we always think seniors, you know, the 70s, 80s, 90s. My mother said it to me when she was in her 50s. And unfortunately, I understood it at the time, but I just didn't want to accept it because I'm thinking, you're 50. How are you tired? But of course, she was dealing with cancer. So, you know, I understood it eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And those are not words you ever want to hear. So let's fast forward. My dad is in his 80s. And my biggest concern with him is being a speed racer. He's not doing anything to exhibit signs of being tired. He's doing all the things to exhibit signs of, hey, I got 50 more years to go.
Mm-hmm.
But he drives like he's at the Indy 500
Okay.
for no reason. He shouldn't be behind the wheel. And we have to say, hey, let me let my guy come and cut your grass because it's 85 degrees outside and you're 85 plus, I'm almost 85 years old. You don't need to be out cutting the grass.
Mm-hmm.
However, my sibling's mother, who I call mom, she is a parent that I'm concerned about right now because she's in the first stages of dementia. And we know how that goes. Not always just the memory loss. You know, it comes with challenges and an abrupt end. So she is the biggest concern right now versus my dad, who, yeah, he's in his 80s, but and it doesn't mean I'm not worried that anything's going to happen to him because he is an older guy. But he just really physically fit, and he's busy. He doesn't allow grass to grow under his feet. He doesn't allow time for always doing something. So I'm not as concerned, but I'm concerned, but not as concerned. My concern is for my sibling mom, and it just feels like sometimes it's a slap in the face because it's like, well, I lost one mother, and then I gotta lose another. What are we? Why this? You know.
Mm-hmm.
And people always say, "Oh, people live a long time with dementia." Da 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 da. Well, okay, we'll go that route and say it's a possibility, but I've seen it too much that I know different. And it's awkward because this is my sibling's mother, and I'm watching them deal with it, but we're doing it as a family, of course. It's just a different kind of something. You know, I don't have animosity towards my dad because I didn't grow up with him because I didn't know him. And fortunately, it wasn't his fault. Unfortunately for the two of us, everybody knew except for us. Um, so there's no animosity there, but it's just a hard press for us to spend as much as we can right now, for this time we have together. And he does a lot of things that just like he feels the need to make up for lost time that wasn't his fault. Like he feels like he owes an apology, but it wasn't his fault. So there's no animosity there. I couldn't have asked for a better situation, because I gained an additional parent when I needed one.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Well,
it's just tough. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, he should be thankful, and you should be thankful that you are able to reconcile any feelings of absenteeism, abandonment, or neglect. Because as you know, not everybody is able to do that.
Yeah.
A lot of people, point fingers and say, well, you knew that there was a child out there somewhere. You should have looked for me, came for me, asked about me. You could have found me if you really wanted to, the same way you probably found other things in your life that you wanted to pursue or whatever. And even though that's a valid argument, the thing about it is you can't expect the victims to always understand what happened with, by somebody who has victimized them. And that's whether, and I'm saying victim, not to say that anything was done on purpose, but it's not the job of the person that has been neglected to figure out why that nobody came for them, nobody came to them, nobody came around or whatever. So it's not always easy for everybody to let that bygone be bygone and just say, all right, well, we're going to start here, new beginning. But you were able to do that. So, you really should be thankful that you were able to reach inside of yourself and get to that conclusion, because you probably know people like I know people who said, well, I don't need nobody. I'll make it on my own. My mom was all I had. And now that that's gone, I have to build something for myself. But nobody who wasn't there from the beginning, from that foundation, can come in here and try to make up for the lost time. Now, because they don't. And people who talk like that, I understand to a certain degree, because they feel like, well, I made it this far without it. Maybe I don't need it. Maybe it wasn't meant for me to be there. They might even start saying like, this is the way God wanted it, so I'm gonna keep it this way. Because there's anger there a lot of times. And you have a right to be angry. Even though you may not have gotten the full story, the whole story, it wasn't your job to get the whole story. You are the child. So I have to commend you for that, because that's not easy. Like Carla in the
before you start commending.
Okay. Go ahead.
Hold on before you start commending.
I've never heard that before. Like, before you start making a martyr out of me.
Yeah, let me tell the truth.
I done lied and stole.
You walked this back a bit.
I hear you.
When it took a minute for both of us to get it took me longer. And then in the beginning, he was the one, we have to be grateful for this time, blah, blah. And then one day he was like, fuck that. He didn't say those words, but he was like, fuck that. This is how I feel about the whole situation. So in the beginning, when I was first made aware of his existence, I was real pissed off, and I was an asshole. And that's before I knew the whole story. I didn't even hear one side of it. I just heard somebody's opinion of it.
Okay.
And then the truth started rolling out slowly, little by little. And then I was made aware of and realized that he didn't know, just like I didn't know. But literally everyone around us knew, and they just kept it a secret because they felt there was a story about my dad going to prison, and because they felt like, well, he was going to be a bad influence, it's just best not to tell him that my mother was pregnant. And no one followed up on the story to see what happened. And the assumption was he was in prison for 20 plus years and da 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 da, because no one ever followed up on the story. He was only in prison for 2 years, and then he was released with nothing, no charges, no record, no nothing. And it's because no one stopped to really see what was going on. And it's just because there was a lot of prejudice surrounding, his involvement with the Black Panther Party. Okay. And there were members of my family who felt like, oh, he's so radical, he's making it bad for Black people, da 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 da. So everyone in that circle kept it a secret, even though my goduncles were friends with my dad. And they talked to him, and my uncle talked to him every day after the fact, and they still never told him. I went to school with my siblings, and no one told me. They didn't tell him. They just kept the secret going because they felt like, well, once it was put out there, we just need to keep it there so we don't cause any problems. And everybody went along with it. And what made it bad is neighbors knew, because of course we all live in the same community together, because my dad has always lived less than a mile away from me. Mm-hmm. So yay. So there was no, in the beginning I was angry, and then when the story started coming out, it still took me a minute to get over it, because I couldn't believe that, sir, you were right here around these people and no one ever told you anything. How is that possible? And I just wanted to believe that he was a liar, but the reality was he wasn't a liar. He literally did not know. No one told him, and they didn't tell me. So when it came out, he was the strong person in the beginning. I was angry with everybody, and he's like, listen, it's a blessing that we have this time. It's a blessing that it happened before either one of us left this space. It's a blessing because I get to spend time with my grandson, and you get to know your siblings, and yada, yada, yada. And it took me a long time to be in agreement with that. I was just like, I don't fuck everybody, And then when I finally was through feeling like that and getting over it for the most part, because I still have a lot of bitterness inside. I mean, let me just be realistic. I still do. I don't talk to those people who had the lie for my whole life. I just don't, because I'm like, you guys don't know what you took away from me. I appreciate everybody who created this nucleus around me to protect me and did all the things so I never felt the loss, but it's not the same. I love you all, but it's not the same, and not everybody go fuck yourself. That's how I feel. Sorry, but I do. However, my dad, it took him a long time to get there, and now he's just like, I can't believe this happened. I can't believe all of my brothers knew this and watched you grow up and didn't tell me anything. Didn't share that you were my daughter. And then he remembers the time when he saw me and he said, boy, she looks like some of my kids. She looks like she could be one of my relatives. And they all were like, yeah. And he said he questioned that and asked my uncle. My uncle said, no, man. Da-da-da-da-da. And he feels like he should have dug more into it, but he's like, because he trusted my uncle, he asked him, he said no. So he took it as face value. And now he's a little bitter about it, when in the beginning he was a positive one. And maybe it's my energy passing off to him, because when he says it to me, I'm like, I wouldn't forgive him for nothing. I don't know. Anyway, I just said all that to say, don't give me no accolades, because
no,
it wasn't like that.
I still give you accolades because you follow through. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has a right to, Nobody expects you to dive head first and like, oh, I got a dad left. Oh, nah, it's not. It's not. But you were still able to reconcile those negative thoughts and feelings that you had. You were you were open to listening. A lot of people don't want to hear shit. You know, there's no accounting to how a person deals with their pain, and the pain of a life lost is something that nobody can navigate. Nobody can tell you how to feel about it, because you start when your parent dies, man, you start seeing your whole life in front of you. And that's not to say that you weren't already on, on some shit before they passed. It ain't like everybody who, especially your parents, it's not like there was a perfect scenario. Like you were just sitting in this utopia at the time that they passed, especially if your parent was sick first. You know the stress of having a sick parent. You know what it's like when you got to go to the store or whatever, and you got to leave them at home, and you wondering, are they going to be alive when you get back? Especially if they terminal or some shit like that. So the stress of that by itself, it fucks with people. It fucks with people hormonally. It fucks with people emotionally, and it puts them in a bad mood space. You know what I mean? So you can't be expected to just fall off the horse of death and just get back on that bitch like you at a rodeo and you about to do this 8 seconds on this, bucking this bronco. No, I mean, or this bull. No, it's not about that. But you did think through it logically. You did make yourself open. You did try. Yeah, and by the grace of God, it worked out, or it's working out. So, like I said, it's not how you start. Yeah, it's not the way it's not the way you start. It's the way you finish. Think about it. When you first start something, you're untrained, you're undisciplined. You don't have any experience. You gotta learn some things, be shown some things, the little tricks of the trade. Have somebody take you under your wing so you can understand how to receive this thing. So yeah, you still very, very much so deserve praise for that, because I know people who wouldn't do it. And I've talked to them. I'm like, well, you know what I mean? Like, why don't you go see your dad? Or, sometimes, I be thinking about it and, I want to do it, but you know what I mean? Fuck it. I'm like, no, ain't no fuck it. That's all you got left. Yeah, well, I might, but I'm cool. So everybody don't do it. Everybody doesn't do it, Kim. You know what I'm saying? Those. And you got to understand also, you did something good for yourself, because you can, when you lose a parent, you lose a piece of your soul, literally. So when you do something like this for yourself and gain a parent or two, you have given yourself back that soulful jigsaw puzzle piece. And that's necessary. So I ain't taking that away from you. And you should, huh?
I didn't do that for me. I did that for the mother, and me did that for my son. Because I thought about it and I said, who am I to make the decision for him? I need to make it fair to him to have a grandparent, to have the additional grandparents that he didn't have, because he had already lost three great grandparents and 2 grandparents. And I said, who is it to me to deny him having a grandparent? So that's what forced me to move forward. And then that's when the story starts to unfold, and I was like, oh, I'm sure to be an asshole. Completely. Didn't feel I got this kid here, because if it were not for him, I probably wouldn't have taken the time to hear anything. So it really is all up to him, and then my baby brother. Between the two of them, and it's probably because they are twins in every aspect of the word, and they're only a few years apart. Mm-hmm. And the two of them is the reason why I was like, okay, go down here and take a moment to hear out everything. And it wasn't even him telling me; it was other people telling me who were part of this nucleus who let me fess up now. You know, everybody wants to be the honest Abe at that point, like, oh, I'm so sorry, we kept this from you, yada yada yada. So, you know, it was due to me parenting. That's what did it. I mean, I'm grateful for it. By no means am I saying anything negative. I'm very grateful for it. I'm grateful that, you know, the universe designed it and aligned us the way it was supposed to be. And the creator said, listen, this is the time. And I think it was, the timing was perfect because it was on the heels of the loss of my grandmother when I felt the most alone I had ever felt in my entire life. So kind of was everything.
You can look at it like you did it for your son, but trust me, you did it for yourself. You did it for yourself too. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that in a selfish way. There's nothing wrong with self-help. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong. You can't help somebody if you are drowning in quicksand. You can't do it. You need help. You know what I'm saying? So you got to throw yourself a lifeline so you can be of service to anybody else. You can't breathe life into somebody you don't have no life in your or air in your lungs. You can't do that. So, and honestly, helping somebody else might help you. You might be the type of person that is of service a lot. Personally, I know that's true about you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you might need other shit too, but I know that you are always willing to help somebody out that's suffering. So there's that.
That is true. That is true. And thank you for recognizing that.
Nobody asked you all
that. And I can say it has been one of the greatest processes. And I'm so grateful that we're where we are. You know, we haven't had a lot of time, but we've had a nice amount of time. I was even able to meet my grandfather before he left this space, which was one of the greatest things ever. And just to see the roots where they are. But a benefit, of course, like I said, is gaining an additional parent, which, God, I can't ask for a better person as a second mom than this lady here. She is the greatest person on this planet. She is. So I'm trying to hold on to her as much as possible. Because when I tell you this lady makes life in the darkest moments bright and shining, she is a freaking angel beyond belief. She just is. I remember and I think my dad has a season. I don't even know how to call it. But he does, because she and my mother would have been the same age. Their birthdays are 8 apart, and most of his children are born.
Wait, their birthdays are how many days apart?
6 days apart.
Oh, wow.
And most of my dad's children are all Leos, and our birthdays are days apart. So I was like, this nigga got a season.
And what was your mom's sign?
She's a Virgo.
And your stepmom is a Virgo too? Or is she a Libra?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
She's a Virgo.
Yeah, he might engage in some pattern type behavior. Just a little bit.
Just even the time we're born, I'm like, how most of your kids all have birthdays back to back, sir?
Yeah, he might have
that going on, bro. So,
yeah, but you know,
before we even go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Do you?
I was just gonna say, before we even confirmed that he was my dad because I pushed and pushed and pushed, and he did not want to go through any of that because he's like, "Look at you, you look just like me." And it was the first time I met him. It just a lot of supernatural things that surrounded that whole situation. That I'm just like, okay, this is. Let me take a break here because I don't like when these kind of things happen. Even though I know they exist, I know they happen. I just don't like being. I don't like recognizing them. Just don't, because it's scary to me. It creeps me out because I know if there's this, it could be something else. So there's that. But I still wanted confirmation, complete confirmation. But before we even did that, I remember he brought mom to meet me the very next day, and immediately she starts saying, "Your father, your dad, I want to meet my grandson." And of course, I still was a jerk. I was still a jerk because this is only day 2. And I'm thinking when she said at first, I'm angry because I'm like, why did you bring this stranger to my house? I don't even know you, you know? And then for her to say, I want to meet my grandson. And I'm just like, lady, I don't fucking know you.
Yeah, you ain't got no grandson. Yeah. I can understand your response to that.
Yeah. In my head, I'm like, I don't know you. But I get it because when my dad saw my son, his mouth just was open and his eyes just, he's like, let me show you. Then he showed the picture of my baby brother, and we both just stood there like, okay, who is this twin? What's happening here? I don't get it. Because the genes are very strong in my paternal family, like real strong. And she accepted us before we knew.
So hold on. So let me get this straight. So you, all your life, you've been running around here looking like somebody you never seen before.
Well, I've seen it. I've seen my siblings before. As a matter of fact, my cousins and I, my maternal cousins and I, had an altercation with one of my siblings when we were all going to school together, and I didn't know that was my sister. But I was like, she and I look alike. But, you know, we never thought anything past it.
Really?
A lot of us look alike. Like, just call it what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bunch of light women with colored eyes and sandy hair in my area. So, you know, that's no random nothing. I live in a mixed neighborhood. I always have, so it's a lot of biracial children. So, you know, you didn't think nothing of it.
Let me get this straight. Light skin, light eyes, sandy hair.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I got the demographic. I wanted to make sure I understood. You know, who if we searching for something, I don't want to misprofile nobody. You know.
But I'm just saying though. So I didn't think anything of it, and then come to find out that whole time my damn sister God, these kind of things can humble you real fast. I'm just saying.
Yeah, they can. But I'm.
Go ahead.
No, you need to finish this because I'm about to switch gears for a second. So go ahead.
Okay. I was just going to say, this is a reason that I'm saying all these things to say, even though this is not my biological mom, every day I wake up and I think of how can I make this better because I can't lose her. You know, every day I'm just like, what can I, like for her birthday, I created her this song for her birthday, and she went to tears over it. I was like, it's just a song. And it just meant so much to her. And I was so happy that I could bring her that kind of joy in a moment of clarity. Not that she doesn't have plenty, but there are times when, you know, like one day we were talking and in the middle of the conversation, she had to say her name out loud and remind herself of what her name is. And that's when, I would say that's the parent. Like, when you talk about holding on to your parents, that's the parent I'm trying. Not that I don't love my dad or don't I want anything to happen to him, but it's my stepmom, and I don't say that in a disrespectful way. I don't like using stepmom because she is my mom. Um, that's the parent I am trying everything to hold on to. That one right there.
Mm.
That's it.
Well, honestly, I consider your story to be inspirational. It's different. It's a little unorthodox, but it's not unfamiliar. When it comes to family, I done had a lot of different looks, a lot of different looks. Whether it's my family or or uh, or a family close to me, next to me, near me, whatever. So, like I said, your story is inspirational. But you never really know what you have until you see somebody who has so much less and considers you to be rich, and you already thought that you were broke, and then you see them and you realize, like, wait a minute, I guess I did have a couple of dollars in the stash and they're useful. And I'm saying all of that metaphorically to say that you were born into what you were born into, and that's the place where you are supposed to be. The thing is, you have to make it what it is. You have to make it what you as close to how you want it to be as you possibly can, and that's going to be a hell of a struggle. It's going to be a task. It's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done. And while you're working on it, you'll also be working on you. I want to talk a little bit about. I want to talk a little bit about some of these things dealing with this situation that could really discourage you, demoralize you, confuse you, and actually and set you back in terms of regret a little bit, or definitely make you aware of some red flags and shit, and make you question what you're doing. Hopefully, hopefully the parent that you have left behind, hopefully they aren't a toxic parent. Because, if they are a toxic person, just because they are in poor health won't necessarily make them a better person. Some people don't know how to be a better person. Literally, like they literally don't know how to, or haven't been taught to be any better than they are. They haven't been taught the value of conducting themselves in a more positive way. So I'm saying that to say that you might, unfortunately, you may be dealing with a parent, not you. I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about anybody in particular, but in the situation where the parent that you have left behind may be a manipulative person, a selfish person, a messy person. And they may be the type of person that will take advantage of you taking care of them. They may be the type of person that punishes you for trying to keep them alive. And that may not be their reason for punishing you. They're punishing you because that's what they do. Some people are just habitual, chronic bridge burners. And here you are.
I have a friend who's dealing with that right now, and I'm watching it, and every day I stop talking to her to call somebody else and be like, man, her mama is a bitch. She is a shitter. And I hate that her dad is gone and she's left with her mother, because her mother is the worst. I know somebody who's dealing with that, and I watched my friend hurt so bad because of her mother. But God, her mother she's a different piece of work. She just is. I don't want to talk bad about anybody's parent, but geez, her mother is different. Just different.
Yeah.
She
it happens.
A very toxic parent.
No, it happens. It happens, and it happens to a lot of people. And you may be dealing with the type of person that may test you just to see how far you'll go for them or what you'll do for them. You understand what I mean? So
Yep.
you may not want to tell them no because they're in their last days as far as you're concerned. Hold on a second.
You have a call from
Stacy. Yeah.
They may be in their last days as far as you're concerned. And so you're trying to make them as comfortable as possible. Meanwhile, they're trying to make you as uncomfortable as possible. They just want to see, they could be priming you and prepping you just to see how much you love them or how important they are to you now. Because one thing about predators is that they can sense where your weaknesses are. They can sense where your vulnerabilities are. They can sense, where you would adhere to to certain demands or requests and shit like that. And they may take full advantage of them. Have you run into the store all day getting ice cream? They ain't want no fucking ice cream. They want to see if you'll go. They want to see how many times they can press the button and you'll come. And think about it, even nurses in the hospital won't go for that shit. Keep pressing that button, see if the nurse gonna keep coming. They'll disable the button. Or they just get used to the sound. She don't want nothing. The last 3 times I went in there, she was bullshitting. You know what I mean? She got dementia. Let her talk to herself. Let the other side of herself answer the call. Real shit. But you, with all of your love and compassion, you may be the type of person that'll go ahead and do it because you don't want you're already not over the loss of your the good parent. And now here you are trying your best to keep this not so good parent around. So you don't want the guilt of I didn't do all that I could for them. You don't want that kind of guilt, which is a way of beating yourself up, but it happens. It happens. So, sometimes we have to count our blessings in twos, maybe even threes, because we can find ourselves in some bad spaces out here. Shit is real. Stacy, what's good? Welcome to the Urban Therapy with Sun Show. What's on your mind this afternoon?
Hey, Stacy.
Hi. I was just doing some self-check. I didn't experience that. I'm glad I didn't experience a toxic parent.
Uh-huh.
I was just experiencing doing a self-check as you were talking because I wanted to know, did I have a toxic parent? And I think they did the best they could.
Uh-huh.
Parents are learning too. So I think they did the best they could when they had me.
Okay.
But I prayed for my mom. And, she didn't want to stay here. It wasn't nothing I could do. Because she was in bad shape at the end of it. So, yeah. So I was just listening. And I was also doing a self-check of myself and the way that I'm living out here, because I am living through my parents.
Well, what about when your parents were alive? Which one of your parents passed first?
My mom passed first.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when your mom passed, did you strengthen the relationship that you had with your dad?
Yeah, I did. I didn't realize I was mad at my dad. I don't know why, because if I did a self-check, he did everything he needed to do when it came to me. And I got the lesson because I'm putting it in action right now, from what he, taught me. He wasn't down with everything, but most of it he was.
Okay. So all right, if you strengthen your relationship when your mom passed, if you strengthen your relationship with your dad after your mom passed, how did that go? Did you do things with your dad? Like,
But
did
I
you?
didn't know I had animosity towards my dad. I had to find that out. And then after I found that out, God was dealing with me, because we supposed to respect our parents and honor our parents. So I wanted to please God, and I wanted to, have peace at night. So I had to make it right with my dad. Because like I said, when it boils down to it, both of my parents taught me right from wrong. And they also taught me, try not to go on their mistakes. And I told them I could try, but my mistake is not their mistake. And I did make it right with him, and I was so glad. And I was able to appear, which I didn't think I was going to do, because I was going to not go to the funeral. But I did, and I'm glad I did.
Okay. So did you spend time with your dad after your mom passed?
Well, my dad, after my mom passed, I seen him like a little bit. I was going through, that's when the water got shut off and everything. I asked him to help me. He couldn't do it. And I got mad at him all over again. So that's when he got sick. And then I spent time with him when I moved into the apartment, and he was glad that I wasn't in the street. And I'm glad I wasn't in the street either, because I was really going through. You can't say God ain't on my life, because I could have been out there and just.
You have a call from.
So yeah, I did spend time with my dad. And I actually, Omar, when I spent time with him, I was glad to see that he was proud that I had a roof over my head, and he didn't even help me. I don't know why I was glad that he was proud of me.
Mm-hmm. But
I was glad.
Since we're talking about holding on to your last parent, what do you consider yourself to have done with your dad to try to hold on to him? Or did you try to hold on to him?
I didn't know he was sick until the last minute. So I couldn't have did what I wanted to do. But if I would have knew everything, I would have been there for him, because I know how I am. But I was in and out. Then again, I don't want to double talk myself or contradict myself with what I'm saying, because then again, I was dealing with anger. I mean, a lot of people want to be in my shoes, but they don't know what I done went through with my parents and how I got here and what I had to deal with. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
And I can't be mad at my mom, because she told me everything from the job. How can you be mad at somebody that told you the truth?
Well, when we talk about holding on to our last parent, we're not necessarily, or let me say, we're not exclusively talking about trying to help them, but you can be mentally holding on to somebody. You know what I mean? Like you could be suffering anxiety over losing the last one. You may be praying, that you don't lose your last parent, or that they'll be okay or whatever. I
think I was like that with my mom. I wasn't like that with my dad. I didn't care.
Well, this is holding on to your.
That's what I want to break. That's the generational curse that I want to break. I don't want to get a man and be, take that baggage. I don't want to be angry, at men because I'm mad at my dad. Because certain parts of my life where he should have been and he wasn't there.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? But
I do. But that
the way I was feeling, I was surprised that I made it to the funeral.
Okay, so you didn't hold on to your last parent?
No, not like I didn't hold on to him. No.
Okay. I mean, if you didn't, you didn't. I'm not here to indict you. We trying to find.
I didn't hold on to him. I still struggle with anger. Because, my mother said I was here for myself. She never dissed my dad in front of me. She just said I was here for myself. She never talked about him like a dog, but I could see the only thing he would feed me. He would tell me what to do and what not to do. And, I guess different situations that he was in, he was explaining to me. And I was like, okay, I took the lesson in. I took the assignment in. or whatnot, and that was it. It was, he wasn't there like he should have been.
Okay. Yeah. Just remember what we're talking about today is holding on to your last parent. So we are literally talking about you.
Holding on. No, well, that's what God want us to do, to honor our parents.
Well, I'm not sure if this is about honoring them. This is about trying to keep them alive.
Yeah, bro, that's keep them alive. That's honoring, helping them out, right?
No. Honoring your parents is being respectful to them, being thankful to them and for them or whatever, and just treating them with an air of respectfulness and appreciation.
Well, that all boils down to being there for your parent when they get, when they need you, right? That's respect.
What we're talking about is only having one parent left and doing whatever is necessary in order to keep them on this earth alive with you. That's what we're talking about. So what we're talking about pretty much requires some action on your part and a whole lot of feelings. Because it's like, think about it in its terms. Let's say you don't have a job anymore. And you know how the old heads always say, I'm down to my last money. You don't treat your last money the same way you treated money when you had a lot of money. When you get down to your last dollars and you don't have no more coming in, you got to really watch the way you spend any money that's going out. Because you know that there's nothing going to be able to replace it. And your life could depend on whether you are sensible with the money that you have left over. So you're going to treat your last money like, wait a minute now, I'm down to my last, let's say I'm down to my last $100. This ain't the time to go gambling. This ain't the time to go out to eat. This ain't the time to go to the movies. This ain't the time for no recreation. This is not a time to go get a drink or buy no weed or nothing like that. You have to find out how to make this last 100 into 200. So you got to keep this 100 around. Mm-hmm. You may have to act like you don't even have 100. You may have to act like you only have 50. So somebody will bless you with another 25. So now you got 125. You know what I mean? You got to give yourself a little wiggle room. So when we talk about holding on to your last parent, we're talking about being fully aware that you don't have any, you won't have any parents. You will not have any more parental guidance for the rest of your life if this last parent passed. So you may be handling them with a lot of care, trying to make sure that you keep them healthy enough to be able to stay here with you, because you may have wisdom and whatever you can extract from them. Not even in a selfish way, but like you may be needing them.
I don't know. I think, like I said, with me, I was so torn. I think I did it, and then I was angry. I did it, and then I, back and forth when it came to my dad. And to keep from being torn back and forth, I just had to lean on what God said in the Bible. And I just try to honor God. So when it comes to my dad, it's hard. It's real hard, because I could say he was there, then I could say he wasn't there. And I'm like, I had an attitude. I think I would have been there, but again, I think I wouldn't have been there. So it's iffy with me. But I know it hurts not to have no guidance. And I thank God I got a family that support me. Because I don't have no parents. And it sucks. So, but my parents, live through my family. So that's the way I look at it.
Okay.
I don't know if that helped anybody or not, but for somebody to say something that if she ain't been through this, I was like, they be wanting you to go through hard times. I've been through hard times when dealing with my parents. That's the hardest time you could ever go through when you're dealing with a sick person. And you sick yourself.
Hold on a second.
Hello, how you doing? We're here to make sure you get the rate for that. You pay online?
No. They got cats rolling through the hood. They got cats rolling through the hood, trying to get you to switch over your electric service. I'm like,
Oh.
I mean, not right now. You know what I'm saying? I normally hear them out because if I can save some money. But you know what? I'm gonna tell you something. I did this one time. I switched over my electric service, and them motherfuckers charge you more because they have to rent the lines. They have to rent the electrical lines from the city electric company. So you wind up paying that cost. So they offer you all these cheap rates, but when you get your bill, you be like, yo, what the fuck? What is this shit?
I think I experienced that one time too.
Yeah, man. So I'm like, nah, I'm good.
With that.
So, you know, I ask certain questions like, how much is the bill gonna be? What am I writing the check out for? Sliding the debit card, like, you know what I mean? I don't want to hear all that. I don't want to hear all that flowery talk like, oh, you can save so much. No. How much am I spending? Don't tell me how much I'm saving. How much am I spending? That's all I want to hear. I don't want to hear none of that other shit. All right, so okay.
I understand what you're talking about now, son. I was just calling in because, you know, when I call in and I talk, I heal too. So, and I understand what you were saying about holding on. That money was a good example. It's a good metaphor.
Well, speaking of the money, let me ask you this on some sidebar shit real quick. When you are down to when your money gets low, do you save it or do you still spend the same way you've been spending it?
No, I'm struggling. I'm a changed person, but I struggle, but I'm still saving. I'm saving now. I'm saving, but I still struggle when it comes to money.
Mm-hmm.
I still struggle, but I get what you was talking. I do. When I get to my last, I act like it ain't there. Like I didn't have it.
Yeah, I hear you.
I ain't gonna be going through that. I mean, I'm learning from a lot of people. God put me in front of a lot of people, so I'm not alone. I'm not by myself. I just have to be down with what to listen to and what not to listen to. That's all.
Okay.
But holding on, that's something. When your parents are sick and they still here, you really don't want to see them struggle like that because they're not like they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
I know my mama wasn't. I think she would have lived longer if she would have left the cigarettes alone.
Okay.
Everything came off of her except those doggone cigarettes. I get angry. But as my mother lived 70, that's what the Bible says, 70 years. So he called her home. He was done, and she was done and did what she had to do. So, it still hurt, but I'm learning how to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be expected to ever get over that. It's not something for you to get over with, to ever get over. But when you have one parent left, it may determine how you navigate yourself in that situation, how you conduct yourself. And
I was just glad that I made it right with my dad because I don't think I could have. Now that's something I couldn't have handled having an attitude and being mad, and he done passed, and I couldn't make it right.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell him how I feel or anything. He couldn't say nothing back. I don't think I would have been there. I wouldn't have been no good. I wouldn't have been no good. So I'm glad God handled it. That's what they can't tell me God ain't real.
Yeah, I could do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I'm glad he made it like that. You know, he got me together, you know. Because I didn't even know I had anger with me. You know, sometimes you don't even know what all these emotions is that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
You know, I know I didn't, you know, but I'm glad I made it right.
Yeah.
You know, again, when I think about what a parent is supposed to do, in reality, he did what he had to do, considering the situation. My mother wasn't no angel at all. But once she became a mom, that's what she was focused on.
Okay.
That's what she was focused on. She was not an angel at all. I'm not saying that she was an angel, but she wasn't toxic either, you know. And like I said, I didn't know her before she had me, but I know while she had me, she did the best she could. And then they said my mama had dementia, and I didn't see it because she sure knew who I was and what was going on. I didn't believe it.
Well,
They said she was trying to develop dementia, so.
Well, dementia sets in over time, and there are levels to it. So,
I don't think I could have went through with that. You know, I didn't see it at all. I thought, but I didn't see it. I thought she was getting better. So,
but you gotta be diligent with information finding too, because last year, the doctor tried to tell me that he was worried about my mom's mental state. Like she was in her first stages of dementia. And I looked at this motherfucker like, fuck is you talking about? You know what I mean? Now I knew that he was saying certain things because my mom wasn't a nice patient. She didn't want to be in the hospital. She had been in the hospital a lot of times last year, and she wasn't liking it. So she wasn't being the model patient. And I know that because of the insurance and all of that, he was trying to get on up out of there. Like, all right, you don't really want to cooperate. You don't really want to do the rehab. You know what I'm saying? You just want to lay in this hospital bed and miraculously get better. So how we gonna get you on up out of here? But he caught my attention when he was talking about her mental state, because I was like, nothing wrong with my mom's mental state. And come to find out, it wasn't. She wasn't. But the oxygen and shit. You know what I mean? She wasn't getting enough or whatever. And, that could fuck your head up. Soon as she started getting the oxygen, and it was kind of her fault, though, because she didn't want to take the oxygen. She didn't want to take the oxygen. She didn't want to do the CPAP machine. So, when you don't want to cooperate, like, oh, you don't want to do the CPAP? Okay, all right. Oh, you refusing the oxygen? All right. They be like, all right, you being discharged tomorrow. You being discharged tomorrow. Huh?
It's hard to deal with parents when they don't want to do what they're supposed to do when they get in the hospital or a doctor. My mother hated the doctors in the hospital. She never was really sick a day in her life.
Yeah, well, and that's not something that's easy for everybody to get used to. You're like, oh, I want to go. And really, a lot of people don't want to live their last days in the hospital, so they'll do certain things to make sure they get home. I got a lot of experience with that. Like, I ain't dying in here. I'm be right in the crib.
I did it.
So their loved ones can deal with the body.
Yeah, I did. I mean, it's too early for me. I did everything I needed to do to get home. They looked at the chart, and then they looked at me. They were like, "Are you the same person?" Yeah. I was like, "Yep, I'm the same person." They couldn't believe what they own eyes. So yeah, but I just called in because I like I said, the show helps me a lot, and I wanted to speak so I could, hear myself speak, because God come through me, and I needed to heal myself with my answers, and I'm gonna go back and replay the show and listen again and do an assignment on myself. When it comes to my parents, both of my parents,
Mm-hmm.
and see, just do a self-examination. That's what I like to do. But I think I got it right. I think I got it right. It's you hold on, but I guess because that's your parent, you love them.
But yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but like I said, what we talking about? You already lost one. You got one left. Shit, that's like hold on. This is like being out in the cold and you need to start this fire and you got one match.
Oh.
You got one match and you got wet hands. You better be careful.
Yeah.
You got to start this fire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You mess around, mess up that match. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that metaphor, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, and my parents, they both passed. It seemed like it was back to back for me. I was like, how God gonna use me? He really gonna use me. That's the only thing I was looking at. So I was going through some hell. For me, that was hell. Losing your parents is hell. Walking through it.
The cycle of life ain't kind.
No, it's not. But it's not kind, and it really ain't kind when you got somebody that's younger than you go before you. So, and I had to look at it that way too. And at least if my grandmother was spaced out, he gave me breathing room when my grandmother passed.
Mm-hmm.
My whole family is up there in his bosom.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is up there. It's only a few of us left. We only had a small family.
Yeah, well. Mm-hmm.
And then we all spaced out everywhere. We don't live around the corner from each other. We all spaced out. So you better believe I definitely got to have a relationship with God. I ain't trying to be lonely over here.
Yeah.
But I just called in. I'm going to watch the show. And everybody have a blessed weekend. And I'm going to go back and listen to the show.
All right. You do the same. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah. God bless.
All right. Kim, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, all right. You good?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Okay. Yeah. Holding on to that last parent, man. That shit can take you on a trip. It can take you on a ride, for real. And I've spent a lot of time talking about the last parent being alive in terms of them being sick, but it's not always like that. Sometimes the last parent might be alive and well, and they don't really depending on the situation. They might not care about being taken care of. They might not be ready for that.
Oh no, because I don't think my dad would. Oh God, sometimes I have to tell him I'm gonna call my sister on him, my baby sister on him, and then I'm like, I'm ready to tell all your children, and I'm like, your father did such and such and such, and vice versa. We all have to sometimes tell him, do you want us to call everybody and tell him what you're doing? Because he just acts like he's not in his 80s. Like,
so you telling on your dad? Like, really? That's what we doing? You telling on your pop?
I'm telling you, this summer it was 85 degrees one day. He was like, I'm going to get out here and cut the grass. And I'm like, so what grass? In real life, you're going to get outside with a lawnmower in the heat and cut grass? 80-something-year-old man. I'm like, don't do that. I'll be all right. I'll be a snitch. I am, and I do. I will tell on him.
But no, I mean, but really, you're highlighting. You was a snitch. Don't get that twisted. But you was a Karen on your dad. but but
Yeah.
but but
Sit your ass down. What do you mean you going to cut your ass? So now I'm having the guy who cuts my grass go cut his grass because I'm like, we're not going to do this. You are not getting ready to go cut shit. Cut your ass in a chair. And it's like, you do a bunch of stuff, sir. I love that you're fit. I love that you can still get around and do a bunch of things. But hey, take it easy. Be easy, sir. Please.
well,
We love you. We want you around as long as the grandparents, like the history on my paternal side, most of the people live to be 90 plus.
really.
And it's like, hey, you got those genes. Don't do anything to mess this up, bro.
Well, I mean, shoot, but I mean, he may be. I understand where you coming from, but I'm sure that at this age he knows his body, and that might be what keeps him alive. Like my grandfather worked in his farm or in his garden for as long as he could. He lived to be 88. And when he couldn't do it anymore, that's when he had to go. And my dad was the same way until he got too sick to be able to go out there. You know, he was a beekeeper. He was a farmer. You know, like he was always deep into that shit. And they say that, you know, things like cutting the grass, things like garden work keeps people alive. It keeps you healthy. It keeps you fit. And it keeps your mind. It keeps your mind in a good place. And one thing that you have to be very careful about with super seniors, particularly your parents, you got to be careful about taking things away from them that they like.
I agree.
Because the impact on them is way harder than it may be on you and somebody else that's younger. You know, because they get to the point.
Heard that story? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just saying they get to the point in their lives where what they have is all they have left. Or what they have left is all they have left. And so when you start taking away all they have left, like I was talking to my sister yesterday about my mom. And she was talking about how she has to, you know, my mom got to cut her expenses or whatever. And, you know, her money is getting low and, you know, she's getting to the point where like my mom be spending money out of her savings when, you know, she still gets enough money on Social Security and pension or whatever to where, you know, she can live. But, you know, being on that type of fixed income, you know, you ain't getting rich. But she was saying, you know, Omar, do you see mommy ever driving that car again? And I said, no. And she said, you know, maybe we need to, you know, for her paying insurance on it and registration every year and all of that. Do you think that that's a good idea? And I said, no, but I know how she's going to act if you tell her. I mean, she just renewed her license a few months ago. And I know how that 84-year-old woman is going to act if you tell her that she can't drive a car that she bought. So whether or not she drives it or not is one thing. It's not going to be a good thing to take it away from her. Because like when she was in the hospital, you know, my sisters rearranged the crib or whatever and took out the things that caused clutter and all that. My mom feels some kind of way about that shit. You know, I mean, because she feel like this is my house. And shit was where I knew it, where it was. And, you know, that's how they feel comfortable. That's how they feel safe and secure. when they have to relearn things and find things that belong to them, they don't like it. And I was explaining that to my sister, and she was like, you right, oh, but this insurance. I said, yo, Shell, what we might have to do is we might have to pay a little bit more in. Simple as that. I've been paying my mom phone bill for the past, I don't know how many years. I might have to take on another bill. Because my grandmother used to give away food. That was her thing. Popsicles, all the kids, everybody in the projects loved my grandmother. She was a giver. She gave away food. You was hungry, you could come over to the crib and eat. She'd stand at the door like, hey, them kids over there. Across, you know how the homes in the project set up. We're not talking about the buildings. We're talking about the project homes. So across the grass over there, she sees some kids over there. Like, hey, come over here. I got something for y'all. You got popsicles, ice cream, and snacks and shit. That's what she did. My mom gives away money. So you go to the store you get money. You make a cup of coffee or some toast, some raisin bread toast or some shit like that. She gives you a couple of dollars. Cause my mom always talking about some. She always talking about some. Yeah, I need you to go to take my car and get me $200 out. I'm like, Mom, you don't go nowhere. How do you need money? It's like, I just, she don't want to straight up lie. But she like, well, like sometimes I need this for, I might need something from the store. I'm like, okay. So things like that, I might have to take over that. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to abruptly just pull the rug from up under, or them, I should say. There's a different level of understanding that we have to get to. it ain't easy, but just like you don't want your father to make any mistakes or hurt himself or whatever. That's part of preserving him. That's part of holding on to him. A big part of it. Trying to keep him safe.
It is.
Even when they don't want to practice safety, you got to do it for them. But sometimes maybe you got to let them get on the ladder. You got to let them get on the lawnmower. You know what I mean? Because they have to constantly prove to themselves that they still got it or that they're still able. Because being unable signals the end for them. And you don't want them to get to the point where they get tired. And being unable.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that absolutely 100% because like he still gets in his garden every day and does stuff. He wants to come over here and look at my yard tomorrow for whatever reason. So I agree that part I agree because that's what I was going to ask you. Have you ever heard, even when they say, when you tell a senior, hey, you're going to have to move out of your house and move to a place where somebody could assist you, and something happens when you do that. I know too many people who have moved their grandparent or their parent out of their home into a facility so they can just have better care, and they did not last too much longer after the move. And I think it's just a connection of it's change for one, and I don't think anyone deals with change, especially adults. We don't deal with change. We're used to it. And when you get a routine, you want your routine. And then, especially for seniors, this is what they know, this is what they're familiar with, and then you're putting them into a situation that could be scary. Mm-hmm. And they don't know this place, this is not their space. And I think something in there, a piece of them stays with their home, and they lose more and more of themselves. And I just think that's when they're like, well, that's it for me. I don't have anything else.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I agree. We have to be very mindful of that. Just taking everything away. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, you got to readjust your feelings of compassion. You got to learn how to understand. You may have to relearn what you already thought you knew. You know, and it's not easy. It's not easy at all. But it's not supposed to be easy. Learning isn't easy. Learning takes time. It takes patience. It takes paying attention. And we have to do the same thing. I mean, the other thing, when we talk about our parents, we also dealing with a little bit of ego. Sometimes a lot of it. Like,
God, yeah.
you know, they brought you into this world. They taught you. Yeah. They showed you. You know what I'm saying? Even if they ain't the parent that taught you, showed you, you know what I mean? Whatever. But that's how they feel. And, you know, you don't want to derail those feelings. You can't be keeping you can't be hoping something die and hoping that it stays alive at the same time.
Yeah.
And sometimes that might be exactly how you feel it. Not me, not you, but there are people who struggle with that shit. You know, taking care of something or somebody that you're mad at. Like you got mad bitterness in you, but you're fighting it. Because the good in you is telling you, no, this is not the way to be. Help, 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 help. But in the back of your mind, you're saying, but all they did to me was hurt, 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 hurt. So it's, you know, but yeah, when dealing with seniors, you're also talking about a lot of ego. You know, your parents will tell you how, just like when we were young and we thought that our parents didn't know things, sometimes we lied to them and all of that shit, and they give you that stupid ass look. Like, like, what? What you think, you the only one who didn't come straight home from school? You think you the only one that was home by themselves while their parents wasn't home and invited somebody over when they was told not to? You think you invented the wheel on that shit? You know what I mean? You know, that's where all of the you must think I'm Boo Boo the fool, or you know what I'm saying? That's where all that shit come from, because we don't know what they know because they came before us, but they will remind you, I've been doing this way before you. You know, you in a different generation, and y'all think that y'all have created something new, but no, it's the same old shit. It's the same old shit, and it's not going to work. So here you are on punishment. So, or that ass whooping, you know, or both. Shout out to the parents that gave out both. Like, I got to get my ass whooped and on punishment. Well, I guess it all equals up to punishment, right? It's all punishment and shit. But yeah, so your parents getting that in that senior age, but even if they're not in their senior age, you know, because people have lost their parents when their parents was in their 30s and 40s. So let's say your mom or your dad had you when they were teenagers. You know, maybe not like a young teenager, like 13, 14, but maybe they had you when they were around between 16 and 19, still a teenager. You know what I mean? And they got sick around age 39. You know, your mom, you know, besides the weight loss that she may have suffered or whatever is going on, she still got it. Mind's still sharp and all of that. She's just sick. That's the problem. She's sick. But she still considers herself to be spry and able in many ways. If nothing else, she knows what's going on out here. You know what I mean? So there's so many different layers to this cake. But, you know, trying to hold on to your last parent, it takes on a lot of different forms. And all of these different forms are going to add up to an emotional toll being taken on you. It's tough. It's tough. So yeah. Let me see. Carla says, I took care of dementia patients, and believe it or not, if my mom had signs of it, it would be difficult for me in a way. It would, because now it's personal. And that's not to say that you didn't care about your patients, but it wasn't personal. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, they say the best things in life are free.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the best things in life are free, but I know the most emotional, the things that will bring things out of you the most emotionally are normally free. Or should I say, you don't have to pay for them with money, but you will pay for them with your time. You'll pay for them with your emotions. You'll pay for them with your efforts. But yeah, it's crazy.
You know, you were saying something earlier about us being rich without knowing it, or having these riches a metaphor.
Yeah.
And that's true. I was thinking about that when you were saying it earlier, and I've been thinking about it since. That you don't recognize it till you come across someone
who ain't got nothing. You breaking up. You there? Uh-oh. She about to drop off. You there?
Hey.
Oh, you back. Oh, that's what's up.
That's what, like, can you hear me okay?
I hear you now. We hear you now.
Okay. What I was saying is, I think about that a lot, and I never recognized it until one day I realized it's only a handful, and I mean literally 3 in my circle of several who experience having grandparents. And the rest don't have that experience. And it just seems so foreign to me for people not to experience, you know, grandparents. And I know that is one of the greatest blessings on this planet, is to experience grandparents, because they are awesome. Grandparents are a freaking best thing. And for other people not to have had that, it floors me. So I just wanted to say that was one of those riches you spoke about earlier. And as you say all this stuff, it makes me think about too. I remember my mother's sister, because I could never call this lady out ever again in my life, had told my grandmother we all wrote a letter and signed a paper to have her moved out of her home. And the way she took a spiral down real fast, I would never forgive this lady for that. Because I'm like, we haven't had that discussion. I would have never agreed to that. I would have never removed my grandmother from her home under any circumstances. If that meant we all had to pitch in, I just had to work 100,000 hours to pay for her to have in-house care if it came to that. There's no way I would have moved her out of her home, because I think that would have taken her out so quick, so fast. Because she spiraled down just at the thought of it. And anyway, that it is a reminder of what we're talking about, just taking stuff away from our parents and grandparents, even aunts and uncles, senior group, how that could really just take a really turn for the bad if you do something like that. And even with Mom here, one of the things everybody is working to do is just to keep her, everything around her that she's always had, that she's always loved, all of her favorite things, no matter what it is, even though, you know, we have to be mindful of what she consumes, because they say that plays a role in accelerating dementia or not.
It does.
We still allow her to enjoy some of the things that she enjoyed. That she remember, because it's not she's not completely, she's just showing the first signs of it. So she's not completely in decline. She remembers a lot of things, but there are moments when it's very prevalent that she's there. You know what I'm saying? So one of the things we always discuss is, we want to make sure she still has everything that she's always had. So there's never a moment where she's just totally lost.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just a part of trying to, preserve her for as long as we can.
All right, we're coming up. We are at the end. Let's do these poll question results, and then do these birthday shout outs, and we're gonna be out of here. All right, so the poll question is: if your last living parent never took care of you growing up, would you try to take care of them now? And 10% said no, they don't deserve my love. 25% said yes, I would try to keep them alive. 15% said it depends on if they were abusive. And 50% said I would do all I can to help them. Well, I'm glad about the 50%. The 50% is very indicative of the energy of this channel. Just like the question last night. You know what I mean? Like, I learned a lot from these little polls. You find out what the soul is of your demographic, regardless of the age bracket or the geographical area. You learn about who deals with you, who appreciates what you do, or who receives the messages that you send. Good shit.
Mm-hmm.
Good shit. All right.
Mm-hmm.
We have some birthday shout outs to do. Some people were born on this glorious October 11th, and they deserve to be acknowledged. So let's go about our business of acknowledging them and making them feel special because they are special, because they are special, because they are SPECIAL. They get the RESPECT. They are SPECIAL. They get the RESPECT. They are SPECIAL. They get the RESPECT. They get number one out the box, Leslie Lyndon Powell. Happy birthday to you. And also Macaulay Freezer. Happy birthday. And my girl, she used to come to the show all the time. You know what I mean? I don't know what happened to her. She disappeared off the face of the earth. But Tracy Siobhan Grant, happy birthday to you. And also Mia Samia Loving and Nettie Raw. Happy birthday, Net. And Nina's Woe. Well, I wonder if that's Nina's Woe. Okay. Tamika Templeton. And last but not least, my girl, Mo Nick Savage. Mo Nick Savage. I want to say happy birthday to all of y'all. And I hope that today finds you all in good health, happiness, mind, body, soul, and spirit. And that goes out to each and every person out there born on this glorious October 11th, anywhere out there in the world, worldwide, internationally, and universally. All of y'all go ahead and turn up, but don't turn up too loud. Just turn up loud enough so everybody can hear you. Rock out, rock on and do the damn, the rock out, rock on and do the damn, rock out, rock on and do the damn thing. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. Good things happen to those who wait. Great things happen to those who grind. And anything can happen to those who go for theirs. So go hard, go for yours. And remember, listen, man, when you want your last parent, and shout out to those who are on their no parents, because it is what it is. But anybody who has lost both parents definitely knows the value of only having one left. And they also probably know exactly what you will do and what thresholds you will cross in order to keep that parent alive. Because when you keep your parents alive, you kind of keep a part of yourself alive. So their legacy becomes your legacy. And you're trying to keep both of those legacies a living legacy. I'm going to say this. You got to do what you got to do. But just remember that there are resources out there for all of y'all. You do not have to do this by yourself. You know, keeping somebody alive is a thankless job, and it's almost wrought, or should I say fraught with futility. None of us make it out of here alive, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't try. It's just like saying, well, you know, if I eat now, I'm just going to be hungry again later. So why should I eat? Because you have to, because that's how you stay alive. So helping yourself to stay alive is a real thing. And helping somebody else to stay alive may be the thing that helps you to stay alive as well. And I would encourage any and everybody out here to preserve their lives as much and as far as possible. Peace to all my day ones, my everydays, and my brand news. I love y'all to death. Resuscitate y'all. I love y'all right back to life. We will be back tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another Urban Therapy with Sun show. So make sure y'all come on through. And I want to thank all of y'all for coming through. I hope y'all enjoyed listening to the show as much as I enjoyed broadcasting it. So we will be back at it. Y'all have a great rest of the day. Kim, you enjoy your day. Be safe and keep your loved ones safe around you.
Definitely, for sure. Happy birthday. Everybody have a good one.
All right. And I'll holler at y'all later, man. Be peaceful.